DTFF.
Once again, here is Drinking and Talking Fantasy Football with your hosts, Dustin Lunt and Jake Trowbridge.
Happy Tuesday evening, everyone. Welcome back to DTFF. It is, as we like to say around our household, it's Thanksgiving week, and Thanksgiving is the day after tomorrow. So that's really exciting. In our real time here. Who knows when you're listening to the podcast what that is going to be. Hopefully it's Thursday morning, and as you're getting ready to do your turkey day, you need a little break away from the family. Little DTFF in your headphones. Nothing wrong with that.
I love it. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you're listening to this on Christmas even, and the same rules would apply, by the way.
Absolutely.
If you waited that long. I mean, not all of them. Don't listen to our starts of the week probably at that point. But no, I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this holiday. Thanksgiving, it's the day of full stomachs, full pants, full hearts, and full Thursday matchups, by the way, which is always the best. We get 3 Thursday games. That's always exciting. I don't know if they're going to be the best games, but they're going to be on, and that's important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited. Full day of football, which I'm sure my wife and everybody's significant others out there duly enjoy that the NFL decided to make it a full slate of games for the day. But I love it. And I am here for it. I can't wait.
I'm excited. I'm so excited. I might do this for the show. Yeah, I might change our background to a Thanksgiving cornucopia. Actually, no, it's pretty dark. I don't like that. If I could find a better one, that was in a hurry. Audio only listeners, you sure missed quite the festive background there. But
yep, just go onto YouTube and hit 2 minutes 30 seconds on the stream, and you'll see that.
Totally worth it.
But yeah, we've got a fun show this evening, and we're going to keep it a little loose here because of the holiday. Still give you some good fantasy advice, but yeah, we'll keep it a little bit looser than normal. Possibly we're trying to get a guest in. We'll see if that's going to happen or not. But here's hoping. I mean, always fun to have guests on the show, but
it'll be a surprise.
If not, it will be for all of us, apparently, because we won't know.
I love it. But even without the guest, I feel pretty confident in what we're offering here. And I'm feeling pretty good about what I'm drinking. Dustin, I was telling you before we started recording, a little peek behind the curtain. I was doing a podcast before this for the Ball Blast one, and I had to pay off 2 shots on that. And so I did 2 shots of Mezcal. So I'm primed. I'm ready to go for this one. I'm ready to temper it with a nice, refreshing beer. I'm doing the Deschutes Fresh Squeezed IPA. So it's not like that juicy IPA.
It's nice.
You and I don't like the biting ones. We like the ones that have a little softness. And this one's pretty good.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I've decided to totally switch it up. I'm going with a Wisconsin Classic cocktail. Brandy Old Fashioned Sweet. And I've got a nice tall guy.
Good. That looks so good. So what do you do for the sweet, by the way? And I know people that are not in Wisconsin are so confused about the Brandy Old Fashioned because they're so used to whiskey and that's like the traditional drink. But what do you put in to sweeten it?
I do. I got the oranges. I always cut them extra thick and muddle the oranges, maraschino cherries, put a little extra cherry juice in there and a little sugar to give it that sweetness.
Straight up sugar, just a little,
just a little, just like a teaspoon of white sugar, and that gives you your sweetness. Yeah,
it's a potent drink. The Wisconsin version, especially. I mean, both are, but Wisconsin really leans into the liquor part of it.
Yeah, and it's great. Now I'm able to make these in the real way because we got for early Christmas. My wife decided to buy me, meaning both of us, a Soda Stream. So now we can get the carbonated water actually. Because it's supposed to be made with the pressed water. So yeah, I've just been making them at home with still water. It's not quite the same. So yeah, I'm really excited
get you
for
there,
this.
But it doesn't have the effervescence that you want out of an old fashioned. Now I'm a little jealous. I wish I had done something similar, but the IPA is going to have to hold out.
Yes. I'm very happy with my decision for this evening. Plan on
Better
drinking
than
a lot of these this weekend.
I bet. I'm also assuming that you're happier with this decision than the decision you made last week for our beer bet. I'm just going to
Yeah.
take a stab in the dark. I don't want to presume.
Yeah, I am happier about this decision than that one. You're correct.
Do you want to talk about it? Are you
So,
comfortable?
do either of us really want to talk about this? I mean,
No,
it was
said it when it happened. It's the grossest goddamn bet, and it got grosser by the minute on Sunday.
it was terrible, and I knew when I said what this bet was going to be. I knew it wasn't going to be great. So the bet, as a refresher, it was Jacoby Myers versus Garrett Wilson, straight up just total yards. And Jake took Jacoby Myers. So Jacoby Myers had 52 yards.
It's fine.
Whatever. What did Garrett Wilson do? 12 yards. That's it.
Dustin, I would say that this beer bet was the reason Garrett Wilson was so mad after the game and came out and called out everybody in the locker room, especially Zach Wilson. It was because of this beer bet that you forced us to make.
I'm sure it was. But
so gross.
Yeah, it was a gross one.
Do you think, this is an honest question? Well, it's not really honest, but it's a question. Do you think that if Joe Flacco starts this week, that Garrett Wilson is going to have like a 150-yard game just to prove a point? Like he's going to talk to Flacco ahead of the game and be like, look, buddy, you just air it. Not that Flacco needs extra help or a nudge doing this, but you got to air it out every play.
That wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that for sure. But this was very gross. We're going to try to make a less gross one at the end of this episode. I will do my best. I don't think it's a high bar you've set to exceed.
No, oh God. I mean, it's no bar. Like there's no bar here. So Jake, here's to you. You are an amazing fantasy football prognosticator / genius.
Yes.
Cheers.
I thank you, sir. As you take your ritualistic shot of Fireball, I can only presume. Can't imagine
You
there was anything else
presume
in that
correctly.
shot glass. It's crazy. It's like you've done this before.
Once or twice.
Now, if it's going to make you feel better, I know this segment always makes me feel better when I have to pay things off. We can move into our drunk trade of the week.
Yeah, let's do it.
Drunk, hammered drunk.
Drunk trade of the week.
This is a fun one. This one, again, comes from Reddit. I talked about last week. We have a backlog now to work with from Reddit of just awful and fun drunk trades. This one comes...
Thanks, Reddit.
You know what? I forgot to change the name on this, though. I'm a shit. This is not from Herbal Chaos. Herbal Chaos had submitted last week. I apologize. This one is from Adonis God. That's spelled Gawd. Maybe subconsciously I didn't want to have to write that in this slide. Maybe that's what it was. But this trade is as such. Adonis says, I made 2 trades in a very drunken state of mind, both on the same day. This is right after the week 4 games. Traded away Jeff Wilson for Tony Pollard. Puts in parentheses, huge W, huge win. Also traded away Kyle Pitts, quote, was tired of his bullshit, along with Jamal Williams for Darren Waller, who ended up getting hurt in the first game that I started him. Puts in parentheses, that's a huge L for including Jamal Williams. Now, this was actually sent and submitted prior to this week's games where Kyle Pitts did get placed on IR. So even before that, they were already lamenting the trade. Do you have anything to offer them in terms of silver linings here, Dustin?
Yeah, I think, the first part with Jeff Wilson and Tony Pollard. Yeah, Tony Pollard's come on great here the last few weeks. He's obviously finally getting featured more and more in this offense, which I think we've all been clamoring for here. Mike McCarthy finally's got his head out of his ass and playing the player that's actually performing better. Weird. Although Jeff Wilson the last couple weeks has performed really well since he's been traded to Miami. So I kind of call that a push I guess, for right now, over the last couple weeks. Granted, at the time, after week 4, yes, getting Pollard instead of Wilson, definitely a W. But at this point, kind of a push because they're both performing extremely well. Now, onto the second part of this trade here with Pitts. And I feel you there, sir. Tired of his bullshit as a Pitts owner in my redraft league. I feel this pain very acutely. Hi, JL. So I don't mind you trading him away. Along with Jamal Williams, yes, that's unfortunate that Jamal Williams just keeps getting touchdowns. He's not
All
going to
of
have
them.
he's not
Every
gonna
single one of them.
but he's not going to get 3 touchdowns every week here.
You say that, but he finds a way to continue doing it. I'm telling you, he's our generation's LeGarrette Blount or maybe a Jordan Howard. That's his only role. It's his only spot in the offense, but he keeps doing it. But no, I see what you're saying, though.
Yeah, and I don't. Yeah, I mean, the second part of the trade, it's kind of whatever. Yeah, it hurts losing Jamal Williams, but are you confident starting him every single week? I don't know. I don't know that I would be. Yes, he's been playing great, but he's been buoyed by the touchdown, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't blame you for trading away Pitts at all.
No, and obviously even before the injury, I say this, and I don't ever wish for injury, obviously. That's not what I'm talking about here, but it's kind of a relief. It's kind of a silver lining in its own that Pitts has been put on IR for your fantasy teams because you don't have to make that goddamn decision every week. Again, you were talking about it. You are the manager with Pitts in our home league. It's tough. You can see a great matchup for another tight end elsewhere. But when it comes time to actually make that swap, make that decision in your lineup, that's a tough thing to do. And now it's been taken away from you. You don't have to make that.
Because you invested high draft capital. And that's why, I think I took him in the 4th round in our redraft league this year. Was it 4th or 5th round?
I think 4th.
Regardless, because I was looking at this earlier, trying to make some waiver wire claims here since I did lose Pitts now. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he's only scored double-digit points twice this season. Twice in double digits. You can stream better than that. I mean, that's just that he was having an awful season in an offense where Atlanta's been surprisingly better than we thought. So I just don't understand what Arthur Smith is doing there with who is supposedly a generational talent, and I hate to throw out generational, because that gets thrown around so much, but that size speed combination, I mean, he is a freak of a man, and I say that in the best way possible.
I just want to say that your use of generational was actually generational in and of itself. You had a generational call out for it. So well done. That's never going to repeat it. The way that you phrased that, that was a once in a lifetime kind of thing. I actually want to real briefly just call back to Jeff Wilson and Tony Pollard. Obviously, Tony Pollard had an almost 200-yard total day this last week. I get it. For what it's worth, and this is just me, and not trusting Jerry Jones at all, I would rather have Jeff Wilson than Tony Pollard for the rest of the season. I understand the boom games are probably going to be heavier for Pollard, but I would take the consistency with Jeff Wilson because you don't get that at running back at all this year. I mean, Alvin Kamara is not consistent. I mean, there are guys that you are painfully having to start. So I don't know. For what it's worth, I mean, it's not great. This trade is not great, but there could be things that are positive about it. Let's stop talking about it. It's actually making me sad to keep looking at it.
Yeah, let's move on here. So it's Thanksgiving, as we said at the top of the show here, Thanksgiving week. So let's talk about some things, Jake, that you're thankful for this fantasy season to date. So start us off here.
To wit, what am I thankful for? I am thankful that we live in a world where there is a guy like Travis Kelce who goes out at a position that you cannot find any sort of consistency, any sort of fantasy relevance on a week-to-week basis. There's a guy like Travis Kelce who goes out and destroys the world every single week. The reverse side of that, I am not thankful for being such an idiot that I faded him coming into this season because I don't have him in any redraft teams. But it's every year we talk about it. Every year we talk about tight end just being a wasteland, aside from like 2 or 3 guys. Like, why even bother? I've seen so many people talk about, let's just get rid of the tight end position in fantasy football. Treat them like kickers, treat them like
Right.
defenses, where it's just, let's eliminate it, make it essentially all a quarterback, running back, wide receiver type of game. And look, after all of my terrible tight end takes, storied and many as they are, even I don't want to say that because I don't want Travis Kelce to get cut out of the mix. Look, if you can make the guy a wide receiver for fantasy, I'm all about that. Make it a wide receiver tight end flex. And I would, from henceforth, he's earned the Tom Brady sort of designation of stop betting against him until he actually falls off.
Mm-hmm.
And it's refreshing. And, every touchdown hurts my soul, but it also makes me happy that there's kind of a linchpin at the position.
Yeah, in the spirit of this holiday, as we're getting into holiday season here, in the spirit of giving and being thankful and whatnot, I do want to publicly offer up an apology to Travis Kelce for doubting him going into the season, because I was down on him. I think one of my bold predictions was, he wasn't going to get 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns or whatever it was. And I just want to apologize for ever doubting you, Mr. Kelce. It will not happen again. Believe
you
me.
even called him Mr. Kelce. That's the level of pride that you're willing to put out there.
Absolutely.
He deserves it. I want to call him Trav, but I feel like that's disrespectful. And I could only do that if I was high on him coming into the season and it was like we got here together kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we didn't get here together.
No.
So talking to you've given your apology, which is very classy of you, but what are you thankful for from this fantasy season?
I am thankful that we got to see some of our favorite running backs return from injury and come back and play at a very high level. We're talking CMC, who's been essentially hurt the last 2 seasons, coming back and doing CMC things. We've got Saquon coming back and doing Saquon things, just ripping up the league. And I love it. So I am very thankful that some of these guys that had been injured, and there's questions around it. We were all questioning going into the season. Well, they're kind of, especially CMC, he's 26 now. He's reaching that age cliff here for running backs. Is he going to be able to perform? Maybe all the wear and tear has just finally gotten to him. Well, no, he's still CMC, he's still really good. Same with not Barkley with the age cliff thing, but it's just like, he's been injured. We all thought the Giants were going to be a terrible offense again.
Which they are.
What they are, but they're still winning games. I mean, you can't shake a stick at the record there. So yeah, that's what I'm thankful for.
Yeah, you should be extra thankful for that because this feels like a podcast episode dedicated to your home team in a way.
No,
I want to mention, I'm willing to put it that way because they're, I like to give you your flowers when they're deserved, when they're due. And there was a good contingent of our home league who, after the draft happened, and you went back to back on CMC and Barkley in the first 2 rounds. I'll call out Zach because I know he doesn't listen to our podcast anyways. Even if he did, I wouldn't care. Zach immediately had the comment of like, enjoy those 3 games together that they were going to, get you, right? Enjoy those 3 games. Oh, hi, Mike in the chat.
Hi, Mike.
I'm thankful for Mike in the chat. I'm thankful for Mike always. But it does feel like, this is some comeuppance. This is some, if you ever wanted to strut in front of somebody's house, physically drive to their place of residence, get out wearing your best garments and strut, this would be the opportunity to do that in front of Zach's house.
And maybe I will do that come into the season. You never know.
Yeah. I would do it. I would do it regardless. I would say I would do it, especially if you win the championship out of it. But that I have a voodoo doll here that won't allow that to happen. I have to. If I can't have nice things, you can't have nice things.
Oh,
it's kind of the antithesis of the Thanksgiving episode. I feel only a little bit bad for saying that, but I still mean it. I still mean it. But hey, I give you your flowers, so I get to make those comments as well.
Well, thank you. So what else are you thankful for? Or is that it? You just had one thing and
No, he's at the top of the list. Travis Kelce is at the top of my list. But honestly, I am thankful for this game reminding me this season. Seems like an anti-thank you. I promise it's not. Bear with me. I am thankful for this season reminding me of how incredibly stupid and random this game can be on a week-to-week basis. I'm not even just talking about injuries. Certainly those, feels like we say it every year, but those have been as fervent as ever and as heartbreaking as ever, especially some of the big names that have gone down for the season or at least for a handful of weeks. A lot of the guys that you and I were in on coming into the season, talking to you, Hollywood Brown, who I'm hopeful will come back for the playoff push. But
me too.
There's so much variance in this game. And I do feel like we get caught up in, obviously you can analyze until the cows come home, as they say. And we do. I mean, that's our job. That's what we do. But you have to take a step back sometimes and just realize that put as much work as you can and want to into this thing, but you are always beholden to variance. Nobody escapes randomness. Nobody escapes variance in this game. And it's almost is like a weight relief to see like some of the crazy. I mean, let me pull up a name from this last week just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about here. You know, we were watching those games, Red Zone, Dustin. We were watching 7 hours of commercial-free football. Even though they did slip in a slight commercial that we both noticed.
A wee, yeah, for just like 5 seconds.
But we were talking about like, Tutu Atwell had a crazy long-ass touchdown that went, which ultimately made him one of the best plays of the week. But then there's also guys like Trenton Irwin, a name that nobody, even Trenton Irwin and his family, probably did not expect to see in the top 24 list for a weekly fantasy finish that ended up there.
I don't know. I thought about starting him.
Shut up. You shut up.
Okay, I didn't, but I thought about it.
You would have been a damn genius. Have you ever thought about the whole, the wishes thing that you could do, or we've done Back to the Future episodes here. It's like, what if you could just do one thing? Sometimes I don't even want to use it for a big thing. I want to use it for something very small, like going back 1 week and being like, everybody keep an eye out for Trenton Irwin. And I would relish that for years. The fact that I called him out for 1 week. I'm stupid for doing that, but it seems like it'd be fun.
It probably would be in the moment. And then you'd probably have a lifetime of regret after it. That's what I use my one thing for.
Damn it. If I had 3 things, I would definitely use one of the 3 things, but you're right. What Fair else enough. Are you thankful for in fantasy?
I am thankful that we are seeing some of these young quarterbacks in the league taking a step forward, which is really what the NFL needs, because we have the old guard. We had Breeze retire. Tom Brady is most likely done after this year. Rodgers is kind of reaching the end, we feel like. So we've got this changing of the guard, and it's been talked about over the last few years. Like, we're having the changing of the guard here, but now you got not Zach Wilson. Nope, that's wrong.
I was going to say not that's him. The last name that should be mentioned here.
No, Trevor Lawrence. He's taken a step forward this year after an abysmal year last year. Justin Fields last 3-4 weeks has looked great. They finally changed the offense to play to his strengths, which is really nice. Tua, he had a rough first couple years dealing with injury, coming back from that hip injury. He's playing lights out this year. So it's really good to see these young quarterbacks kind of rejuvenating the league, along with some of the, they're not really the young guys anymore, but with your Mahomes and Lamar and
your Josh Allen,
Burrow, Josh Allen, so it's kind of nice that we're getting a kind of refresh into with the QB stable of QBs we've got. And I'm really thankful for that, because it makes the league that much more fun when there's good quarterback play.
Yeah, I do think I was worried. I was a little bit worried about some of the people falling off. I mean, this goes back to the Andrew Luck sudden retirement. This goes back to, Peyton Manning eventually. Even Phillip Rivers, I was so bummed.
Yeah.
Like his last year is like he was our Mr. Consistency. He
Yeah, or
wasn't
even
great.
Roethlisberger, I mean, like he had
Yeah.
he had a very solid career. He made for some very interesting games. I mean, those Steelers teams were really good. So it's just like, yeah, the last couple years he looked like garbage, but that's
Yeah.
besides the point. He was one of those longevity, in that kind of group of quarterbacks.
Yeah, yeah, that's part's fair. The whatever the outside stuff,
Yeah,
all that made it hard. But yeah,
exactly.
no, there was that time though where it just felt. And again, we've been calling for Tom Brady's demise for years. It feels like now, and so I feel like it's nice to have some assurances there. They're not all going to be amazing for the rest of our lifetime, or even for another 5 years. But it is nice to be like Justin Fields. You are the next in line, and it feels some excitement on the way.
So, Jake, we have a question in the chat here I think we need to address from our newly subbed friend, Gren.
Hey, Grant.
Do you think I should trade D-Hop and Christian Watson for Stephon Diggs?
This is a great question. Glad that you have not met your trade deadline in your league thus far. I love DeAndre Hopkins. He's somebody that I have to admit I was a little bit lower on than I should have been coming into the season. And part of the reason for that was Hollywood Brown and how good I thought Hollywood Brown was going to be for the Cardinals. We have not seen them play together yet. When Hollywood Brown does come back, whether it's this week or next, it seems like it's definitely one of those two. I do expect Hopkins' production to back off a little bit, enough that I would feel comfortable packaging the two for Stephon Diggs, because the consistency and high production that you would get. Look, we're Packers guys. We're Packers homers. I love Christian Watson and his 5 touchdowns in one calendar week, but that's unsustainable, especially with the turmoil in Green Bay. And who knows if Rodgers is even starting the rest of the season.
Yep, I agree with you. Stephon Diggs he's still young enough. He's still in his prime. He's on a high-powered offense. He gets the targets. He gets touchdowns. Yeah, I would take that consistency, as you said. Take that consistency for the other two players. D-Hop has looked great since he's come back, but I agree with. Let's put it this way. I agree with everything you said. I'm not going to rehash it and try to repackage it in a different way here. I agree with everything you say. Go with Stephon Diggs.
Didn't want to restuff that turkey, huh? You just
That's
wanted
right.
to leave it be. I appreciate it. Well, we've got a follow up here from Big Trev has a question in. Let's talk about Big Trev. What's up, y'all? Is it all right to play Vanilla Vic this week? I'm favored. Only other option would be Trevor Lawrence. I also have the Ravens defense, so not liking playing both. I have to ask, look, maybe I'm just out of the zeitgeist here, Big Trev. Who's Vanilla Vic? This is an important question. I've not heard the nickname, so you're going to have to fill me in.
Same.
Unless Dustin, I was going to say,
no. I have no idea who that is. I read that and I'm like, Vanilla Vic. I don't know who that is.
Is it Daniel Jones? It almost has to be Daniel Jones, right? Like in terms of rushing court, you would not deign to call Lamar Jackson or Justin Fields that. Certainly, they're too good. Maybe Josh Allen. I don't know if we're talking Josh Allen here. This is almost a fun game in and of itself, I guess, to play. I'm going to assume that we're talking about Daniel Jones. And if that's the case, would you play Daniel Jones over Trevor Lawrence, Dustin?
No.
Oh, Big Trev did confirm it is Danny Dimes that we're talking about.
Okay.
Saquon apparently gave him the nickname. I did not know that.
Oh, interesting. So, yeah, I was just going to go on Pro Football Reference to see if it was in the nickname section.
You cannot trust Pro Football Reference.
I know.
By
But
the way, they still call Tom Brady like the Egyptian god or something like that. Something weird. The Pharaoh, I think they call him. I don't trust it.
I figured it was a good place to at least try to troubleshoot here, because I figured it wouldn't be on his Wikipedia page.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. So, yeah, who would you take there?
Yeah, I would take T-Law. I'm just a fan. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I do not like Daniel Jones' matchup this week. In fact, I almost I want to call him out as a potential kind of fade candidate for this week. I do understand what you're talking about, though, in terms of I too hate having to play a
Mhm.
quarterback that's going against your defense. I get
Yeah.
that. That's not fun, but there's enough room for both to happen. What you have to believe in is there's going to be some strip fumbles from the running backs and wide receivers, or though hopefully you don't play in a league where sacks are penalized for the quarterback, but they are attributed to the defense, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
So I would still take Trevor Lawrence.
Yep. All right. One more here, Jake, from the chat from George. Damian Pierce or Mike Evans this week in a half PPR.
Oh Lord. If this was full PPR, it would be a very clear Mike Evans for me.
Mm-hmm.
This actually does make it a little bit more interesting. Damian Pierce thrives in your standard, your half PPR leagues. I'm looking to
They
see
are
who he
going
has as a
to.
matchup.
He's going against Miami.
I mean, that's not wonderful. Mike Evans himself has kind of faded away a little bit. I don't know if it's all because of Chris Godwin coming back around. He's had some real dud games, and it's making me concerned. I know he's playing against Cleveland this week
Mm-hmm.
in half PPR. It depends. This is such a cop-out answer, but it depends on what you need out of your lineup. Do you need a safe floor? If so, Damian Pierce every time. If you feel like you get in a position where you need some upside, it's still going to be Mike Evans. But my sort of all-inclusive answer would be probably Damian Pierce.
Yep. I am lockstep with you on that one, Jake. 100%.
Woo! Oh, one more. I missed. Big Trev did have
Oh.
a second question, by the way. Needs one for full PPR. So Rondale Moore, if he's healthy, or Donovan Peoples-Jones, or Adam Thielen. I have a pretty strong answer to this one, but I'm curious to hear
Ooh.
who you have out of this group.
Just looking for the Vikings matchup for this week. I should know this.
Being
So
such
they've
the
got
Vikings fan that you are.
Well, they got the Patriots on Thursday night.
Mhm. It's a non-noon game for Mr. Kirk Cousins. That's very important.
It is. I think I'm gonna go with DPJ on this one.
Yeah.
He's had the target share over the last few weeks. It just hasn't all come together. Where Amari Cooper's been scoring the touchdowns and whatnot. So I do like the matchup. So I think that's where I lean.
Yeah, I don't mind Donovan Peoples-Jones. I think he's been showing his merit quite a bit these last few weeks. I just love Rondale Moore if he is healthy. And alternatively, if Rondale Moore sits, I love Greg Dortch this week. These two, both of them do the same thing. And Dortch is kind of like a true wide receiver handcuff, which we don't see a lot of these days, but they do the exact same thing. One of them does it only slightly better, which is Rondale, which is their super low average depth of targets guys. Like they don't get a pass beyond 3 yards from scrimmage, and it doesn't matter because they make up for it after the catch.
Mm-hmm.
And the matchup this week against the Chargers, I'm not worried about that too much. The targets are going to be there for either Rondale or Dortch. So
But
I would take them.
What if Kyler doesn't start?
Doesn't matter because
Doesn't
Colt
matter.
McCoy
All right.
and Kyler Murray have both been so not interested, let's say, in throwing down the field. I think it's
just
Cliff
figured it's
Kingsbury's offense.
Yeah, I figured it was just a good question to ask you since if it made an impact for your decision or
And
not.
normally it does, right? Normally quarterbacks should make a big impact on that kind of decision, but both of them, I think it's just a facet of the offense that they're going to take that little thing and instead of try for the big play, through the air with air yards. By the way, George Cook in the chat with the follow-up to the Pierce versus Evans. I think we saw Damian Pierce's floor this last week, and I get why that's unfortunate because he literally had 30 yards or something like that. So I understand it, George, but everybody's due one game like that. And I'm not willing to write off what we've seen all way through the rest of the season.
Exactly. All right. Well, we've cleared up our queue of questions in the chat for now. So
keep them
Jake,
coming, by the way, if you have
absolutely. I love that. What are you hoping for, Jake, to be thankful for come the end of the fantasy season here?
This is too easy. but I'm hoping that we can just curb the goddamn injuries. I just,
Yes.
that's all I want. Let everything else play out on their own individual merits for the
Do you know
rest
what
of
I
the season.
do you know what I think we should do to try to make this happen?
Write the NFL a strongly worded letter.
No, I was going to
Strongly
say
painted picture?
uh, no, Jake, let me get through my thought.
I'm sorry. Okay, go for it.
No, I was thinking we should try to coordinate like a Hands Across America type thing that we all just put out the good vibes and try to make the chain from coast to coast for NFL players to stay healthy.
Yeah. We need to buy the world a Coke, but instead it's buying the NFL healthy limbs and ligaments.
Yeah,
I'm into
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
I'll participate if you can get the email chain started. I'll show up for sure.
All right. I will send out the email
Email blast.
all.usa@gmail.com.
Yahoo. All at
Rocket
Hotmail.
at
Please.
rocketmail.com.
Please show up. Real quick. Seriously though, like it's been so frustrating with the injuries, and again, we talk about variance all the time. There's so many variables that happen, but if we could just remove one of them, that's all we truly need. The rest of it is hazard pay throughout the season. We're used to that stuff, but we can't do much when you're rolling out the wide receiver 5 on a depth chart for a given team.
Yeah, I agree. It's been a rough go this season, but there's always injuries. It happens every year.
I know. They just
It's
seem more severe this year. That's all.
it's what it seems like, but I don't think it is.
We'll have to do an end of the season. That might be a thing for the offseason is track, see if it was truly much worse than it feels.
What I feel like, and this is again just a thought, and I don't have any hard evidence to back this up. I feel like we've seen in previous seasons where more injuries happen in like the preseason and like training camp rather than during the season, where I feel like we got out of training camp and preseason fairly healthy for the most part this year. And now we're kind of seeing those injuries creep back up on us. So
they're playing catch up.
Yeah.
With us. Those dicks. Those damn dicks. Do you mind, before I ask you your hope, if we just run back to the chat here real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like this is the time for people.
I'd much rather answer chat questions.
So George, again, do you like the Chiefs defense versus the Rams or the Miami defense versus Houston? This is a very interesting question. We don't do a lot of group defenses on this chat or on this podcast, but both of these, to me, I mean, the matchups are really interesting. Wouldn't have said that, I don't think, coming into the season that they're on par with each other, but I feel like they are now. Do you have one that stands out?
I'm going to say the Chiefs defense. That Rams offense is in shambles. They just lost Cooper Kupp. Matt Stafford, is he going to play? Is he not going to play? We don't know. Their offensive line is garbage. They're one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL right now. So I think you could score a lot of points, especially if Stafford's not playing. They have the backup quarterback in there.
Yep.
I think the opportunity for a good scoring day for the Chiefs is there. Yeah,
it's tough. I would like to say Miami. Miami hasn't really been big on takeaways this season. Not that that's crucial here, I guess. I just feel like, the upside is maybe a little bit more with the Chiefs defense. If you do get points per sack for your defenses, that might change some things. And in which case I might go with Miami there. But I agree. Otherwise, I would go with Chiefs.
All right. So we've got Elias in the chat here. He says, first time in here, guy on the left kind of reminds me of Brian Dable. Jake, what do you think? Is that a compliment or is that a rip? I don't know how to take it.
I don't know, man. I don't know how much Elias listened to you speak before saying that versus just a stray observation, just dead eye looking at you in the screen. It's hard. It's hard for me to say. I think if you listen to you talk for a little while, I think that's a compliment because Dable's been a good coach for that team. So I would take.
All right. Elias does have a real question though here in the chat. Who would you rather have rest of the season? Rashad White, Freeman, or Jeff Wilson?
Ooh, that's great. Jeff Wilson. I know Raheem Mostert is still there in spirit, but Jeff Wilson just feels like he's actually taking it over. So I would still lean with Jeff Wilson there. Rashad White would be kind of a close second. Free. Wait, which Freeman are we talking? Does maybe Foreman? Are we talking Foreman? What Freeman am I missing here? That is, am I just that drunk? Did those shots get that on top of me? It's not Devonta Freeman, certainly. Who are we talking about?
I'm guessing maybe it's Foreman.
Okay, if
Elias,
it's Foreman, same answer. I would say is the number 3.
Yeah, I'm again right with you, Jake. We're like this tonight. We're right here.
That's what I'm thankful for. Yeah, I like that. I also do like that Elias clarified that he likes Dable.
It was
so he likes you. So it's a compliment.
And it was Foreman. So
perfect.
Just so we're clear.
Perfect. Right. Yep. Then Elias, that would be my order of events as well.
Yep. All right. So what am I hopeful to be thankful for come the end of the season?
Yeah.
There's honestly just one thing I'm hopeful for, and it's very self-serving. I'm hoping to win our GD home league for once in my life. I'm hanging by a thread to the number 1 seed, which I've had before and it hasn't worked out. But I'm hopeful, and I hope to be thankful at the end of the season to have that trophy behind me for the entire fantasy season next year.
Yeah, this is also only the second year that we've had a trophy. So
True.
It feels like that's important. We're now, and even technically last year, it was kind of the initiation of it. It doesn't feel like a real year. I know our commissioner would disagree since he is.
He finally won it for the first time as well. So
look, man, the home league is everything. It's everything. And all the other leagues that we might be in, the fancy leagues, the dynasty leagues, the best ball leagues,
it doesn't matter.
Bowl, whatever. All of them are great. All of them are wonderful. But they're not the home league.
Yep. Yeah. So like I said, it's very selfish and I don't care. But that is the one thing I hope to be thankful for come the end of the season.
Now, to extend this to everybody else, you should be hoping then if you want Dustin to win, that means you want Saquon to stay healthy. That means you want CMC to stay healthy and involved because those are, again, as we mentioned, the 2 linchpins to your team, right?
Yep.
You're searching for a tight end, so you can't help anybody there.
Oh, I've got my tight end all locked up.
You say that. Now I just want to go in and try to snipe it because I know I have waiver priority and I get one more pickup this year.
No, I picked up Trey McBride last week.
No, that's a good pickup.
I am locked in there. That's I have no worries with my tight end. And let's be honest, it can't get much worse than fucking Kyle Pitts.
Agreed. Strong agree there. So again, you have that decision taken off of your plate, which is pretty nice.
Yeah. So we've got a good one in the chat here, what we're hoping to be thankful for. The Packers firing Joe Barry, our defensive coordinator. Yes, I think we can all agree on that because with the talent on our defense, we should not be playing this fucking poorly.
I think the solution isn't to fire Joe Barry. It's to pick up another wayward defender off of waivers just to try and shove him in there and fix things. I think that's ultimately.
I mean, it's worked in the past, right? So why wouldn't you just keep going back to the well?
Biggest eye roll ever. By the way, we have to mention this because George brought it up. Did you hear that a certain someone, a former wide receiver, was visiting Green Bay? Just today, he was spotted there. A Mr. Geronimo Allison was seen around Lambeau.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not hear that.
That's the type of move that only a really savvy owner can make. A really savvy GM. Bring back Geronimo Allison, who I don't think has had a catch in 2 to 3 years.
Brutal. It is brutal. All right. So I threw a couple other things, talking points out here. Let's pivot away from fantasy football for a couple minutes here. Yeah, just for a couple minutes here, because I want to know, Jake, in the spirit of Thanksgiving, what are your top 3 Thanksgiving dishes? It can be entree, it can be sides. It doesn't have to be traditional. Just what are your top 3 Thanksgiving? When you think Thanksgiving, I'm going to sit down and eat. These are my top 3 things.
I'm glad you asked this question. It's a very important one.
It is.
And I've never been like a massive turkey person. I'm fine with it. It's fine. Turkey's fine. But what I go for when I fill up my plate is going to be a much larger helping of green bean casserole with the little crispy onions on top. Like it's so good. The little
Nope.
cream of mushroom.
I already hate it. I hate this already.
It's so good. The cream of mushroom in it's the
I should have known better than asking for
Thanksgiving
a food
dish.
take.
Oh my God, it's the best one. Look, you are the gourmand of the two of us. You are the foodie of the two of us, but this is the worst trash food take that I know you have. And I know you're capable of making amazing things. The fact that you refuse to cross the boundary into accepting green bean casserole, it baffles me. It baffles me.
I will not accept green bean casserole into my life.
That's
No,
a you.
I won't.
I guess that just means more for me, and so that's
You
a
know
wonderful
what?
thing. Too.
I'm making green beans for Thanksgiving this year, just not green bean casserole.
Why? What?
Because it sucks. It's a terrible dish.
Green beans by themselves are nothing. They are.
It's not going to be by themselves. I'm going to zhuzh it up a little bit.
We use zhuzhin. You're throwing some bacon in there. You just spreading some garlic around. What's happening?
There'll be some garlic, some almonds.
Almonds? You had the audacity to say green bean casserole is a bad side dish. You're out here just flicking almonds on vegetables and calling it a day.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right. Sorry, we got off topic.
Second.
Here. So that was your first.
Yeah. Second is any kind of potato dish. I'm a sucker for Thanksgiving. The traditional mashed potatoes. Make them as creamy as possible. If you want to put a little garnish, maybe like sprinkle a little Parmesan cheese or something into the mix, I'm good with that. That's wonderful to me. But that to me is the vehicle for all the other good food. Like if I'm eating turkey, it's going to be with a heaping spoonful of mashed potatoes with it. It's the carrier service for everything else. Number 3 gets a little trickier. I'll tell you the things I do not like. I don't like pecan pie, so that's never going to make it in
right
here.
there. Yeah. Fuck pecan pie.
I don't like cranberries. I've never been a cranberry sauce guy. So
I make a really good homemade cranberry sauce.
Everybody does. This is the meatloaf thing. No, this is everybody's trying to get me to like meatloaf for so long because they say it's the best.
I don't like canned cranberries. Like those I don't touch, but I make a homemade sauce that I actually enjoy. I mean, I don't go overboard, let's be honest, but it gives a nice little tartness to the dish. That's nice to the meal. So anyway,
if you want to put it on like a dinner roll or something, I'm for that. It's basically like just jam on bread at that point. I'm good with that. The other one that I really like, and I think this is more non-traditional. I don't know if a lot of people do this or if it's just my family's Thanksgivings, but I love a 5-layer or a 7-layer salad. Those are all of my favorite things. It's like just enough. It has some lettuce in there to make you feel like you're kind of eating healthy for the day, but then it's like bacon. It's a lot of cheese. It's a lot of sour cream kind of things. It's just amazing.
You know what? You're gonna hate this. Yeah. Not a fan of that either.
What is?
But here's why. Here is why. When I was younger, then this goes back to when I was a wee bald person.
Initial sort of framework building in the brain.
I used to not be a sour cream person. I used to not like sour cream, and those like 7-layer, 5-layer, whatever dishes, they always had black olives on them.
Oh,
and
I've never had one with black olives.
And I don't like black olives. So those two things were always like a killer for me. Maybe as an adult, I should revisit it.
Do you mind the peas that are in there?
Peas, good. Beef, good. Jam, good.
All right. I love it. Oh, so we've heard what you hate, which is all the things I like. What do you hate as your what do you love as your top 3?
All right. So this is my top 3. It is stuffing is number 1, hands down. Give me any kind of stuffing. I don't care what it is. I love stuffing. Lots of gravy on top. I would eat just a plate of stuffing for Thanksgiving. That's how much I love it.
You do the box mix every once in a while?
No. I mean, I'll make it like in a if I like have a craving for stuffing, but for Thanksgiving, I do the real, like I make it from scratch and do the real deal. So stuffing's number 1. Number 2, we make this sweet potato dish that is phenomenal. basically it's mashed sweet potatoes with a shit
Yeah.
ton of butter and brown sugar in it. And
So it's the
then
sweet version of sweet potato, and it's not a savory
yeah,
dish. All
no,
right.
it's very sweet. It's like dessert, but you eat it with your main course. But then on
That's good.
top, there's coconut and walnuts that's like all toasted and brown. It's
You
so good.
had me so.
It's so good.
You were one word away from having me on board with this thing until you threw walnuts into the goddamn mix. All of the you nut people. You just like to ruin everything with throwing nuts into the dishes. I love the coconut,
No,
cocoa nut,
it's
but
my
not the walnut.
favorite. It's one of my favorite things to have. And it's
All right.
Thanksgiving is literally the only time I make this.
That's right.
And
What's
then
your three?
third, and this is very basic, and I don't care. I love them, whether they come out of the can or they're homemade. Biscuits. Give me
I
biscuits.
love a good biscuit too.
I love biscuits.
Yeah.
You make your sandwich with them. You can dip them in your gravy. You can dip them in the mashed potato. Like, it's so versatile. And yes, George, you are correct. Combine everything for a sandwich. Got to
But
have the moist
combine it on a
maker.
biscuit. Don't do
Oh,
regular
yeah.
bread. I
That's
never
right.
even thought about that until the
Oh,
both
yeah.
of you coalesced
Oh yeah,
in this beautiful
it's my
firework
favorite.
of an
It's my.
idea.
I bought extra canned biscuits this year because I'm just not making them from scratch
Sure.
this year. I
You
bought
do
a
Pillsbury?
whole extra can. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
just so I could have extra biscuits to make sandwiches the day after.
That's a
Oh,
great
yeah.
idea. I can't believe I've never thought to have the biscuit be the base of the sandwich.
Yeah.
God damn. God damn, you guys.
Yep.
I
So
love it.
Jake, since we've talked about things we don't like on the show with Thanksgiving, what are your thoughts about pumpkin pie? A very big Thanksgiving traditional
Yeah.
dish.
I used to be okay with pumpkin pie. I used to like it as a kid. I think I ate way too much of it. Now it has to be more whipped cream than pie, or the base of the pie can't be like the typical crust. It has to be like a graham cracker crust, because I'll eat anything with a graham cracker crust. I'll be honest. It's kind of the way I feel about fall flavors. I'm that basic bitch about like just sub out whatever you have for graham cracker, and I'm okay. But in general, I'm not a huge fan.
All right. That's fair enough. I'm not a big pumpkin pie fan, but again, I don't like much pumpkin of anything.
That's right. You're a pumpkin beer averse fella as well.
And not just beer, obviously, because I don't like pies. I told my mother-in-law because she's coming to town for Thanksgiving this year. And she's like, what do you want me to make? And I was like, nothing. I've got this all under control. Like, you're coming as a guest. So she insisted. So I said, you can make pies. But my one thing was, I want an apple pie because I don't eat pumpkin or because I don't do pumpkin or pecan. Like, they're just, I'll eat it, but it's
Fuck
like,
pecan, man.
it's like empty calories for me at that point. And I don't enjoy it. So I'm like, I want an apple pie. She's like, okay, no problem. So yeah, getting an apple pie.
She's very accommodating, at least,
Yeah.
to pull the apple pie into the mix.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
So yeah. All right. So that'll do it for Thanksgiving talk. Let's move on
right.
here. And let's revisit our starts of the week from last week. We'll get back to fantasy football here.
Yeah.
So Jake, you had Russell Wilson going against Las Vegas.
It felt so right.
It was a good matchup. It really was. Like, it was there for him, but came in at QB 20 with 10.7 points. So sorry, Jake.
Brutal.
I don't think that counts
He's-
as a good call.
No, God, no. And he's absolutely, that was the last matchup where I thought you could play him. He's absolutely droppable in all formats at this point.
Yep, absolutely. As bad as your call was, Jake, mine was even worse. Can you believe it? I had CD Lamb versus Minnesota, which I thought this was going to be a Justin Jefferson versus CD Lamb, like matchup of like stud wide receivers. No, he only scored 9.5 points on the day for wide receiver 44 overall. Like, that is, I don't understand how that happened.
Can I put your mind at
Other
ease?
than Tony Pollard.
It's not even just Tony Pollard. I want to put your mind at ease because every big name receiver, it felt like, had a dud week. AJ Brown, Justin Jefferson, who are you talking about going a matchup with, essentially, Terry McLaurin. All of these guys failed last week. And I've never seen a week quite like that for wide receiver.
Yeah. So disappointing on our starts of the week for last week, but you know what, Jake? There's always this week to get back on track. So lay it on us. Who do you have for your start of the week this week?
I almost listed either Rondale Moore or Greg Dortch in this spot per the earlier question, but because I didn't know for sure who was going to be out there and healthy, I pivoted to Gerald Everett. Gerald Everett, this is just what's become a thing this year. Start your tight ends against the Arizona Cardinals. That's all it is. They're allowing the most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. They're a train wreck when trying to cover them. Noah Fant, just a fun fact, he's only had 2 weeks inside the top 15 all year. Both of them came against the Cardinals in the 2 times that the Seahawks matched up against them. So he's a smash spot this week.
I like it. And then for me, I've got Ramondre Stevenson this week against Minnesota. Minnesota is one of the worst rush defenses in the league. And Jake, I just want to throw this out here. Maybe you know this, maybe you don't. But do you know where Ramondre Stevenson sits in the running back ranks season to date?
I feel he's got to be pretty high. He's been a consistent guy. I'll say a top 8 guy.
You're close. He's number 9 overall.
Ooh, it's pretty damn good.
Yep. And that's total points. If we go points per game, where's my thing? He's still at number 9. So he's right there, very consistent, averaging 16.4 points per week. Damn. And this is coming off a very slow start to the season. The first few weeks, he wasn't nearly as involved as he has been lately. So I feel like that number is a little misleading. So yeah, fire him up again. This Minnesota defense, as far as the rush defense, is not very good at all. So he should have a lot of success. They're playing at Minnesota in the Dome, so you don't have to worry about weather or anything like that. He should run wild. Fire him up.
I like that. I do love that. I think we're both in for a bounce back on our bets of the week or starts of the week.
All right, Jake, that just leaves us with one more thing, and it's on you this week to come up with our beer bet.
Yep. I actually had picked this one out before I saw your start of the week, by the way, so I don't want to belabor this too much, and it actually made me pivot away. So I picked out Ramondre Stevenson versus Dalvin Cook. I really was hoping that you would take Dalvin Cook. It sounds like you would take Ramondre Stevenson at this point, so I'm going to pivot away, sadly.
Okay.
Instead, I want to focus on I want to focus on a matchup of quarterbacks and hopefully right the ship, maybe. We've had some gross ones before, but let's put 2 of the top tier guys against each other. We've got the Chargers and the Chiefs matching up. It feels like a good opportunity. I know probably who you're going to take, and I'm probably going to regret this, but with a healthy Keenan Allen and a healthy Mike Williams we do have Justin Herbert playing against Patrick Mahomes. So let's take advantage of this one to try and make it fun. Is that not correct?
No.
It's the Rams, not the Chargers. Rams. I blame the Mets.
I will take Patrick Mahomes versus whatever Rams QB.
Nope. No, I don't want it anymore. Now I'm refusing. You should have never said anything. You should have just taken Patrick Mahomes, and then this would have been it.
Oh, come on. I would not feel good about that.
Yes, you would. You would if you ended up winning. You certainly would.
I wouldn't. And you know why I wouldn't have won? Because Carmen would be like, you can't do that to your co-host. You're gonna lose just because.
All right, yeah, you're probably accurate there. All right, let's pivot away then. Let us look towards the Giants and Dallas Cowboys game then for Thanksgiving. I want to put backfield versus backfield to make this interesting. I don't want to do a 1-for-1 because I think we know what the result would be. Right. But basically Saquon Barkley versus Ezekiel Elliott plus Tony Pollard. I mean, to be fair, Saquon has Matt Breida on his side as we saw him vulture a touchdown this past week. So it is backfield versus backfield.
Yeah, give me the Giants.
Giants it is.
I think the Giants are going to upset the Cowboys here this week. I really do.
I would actually love that.
Oh, really me too. Because fuck the Cowboys.
It's not even like we're obviously big Giants fan.
No.
It just kind of feels,
It goes back to the 90s, being a Packers fan when the Cowboys were so good. They kept beating us in the playoffs. That's why I still hold that resentment.
Yeah, I mean, mine's not even that. I just, Mike McCarthy. right? I think
Well,
that's
that too. That
fun
too.
for us.
All right. Do you want me to throw that into the show sheet?
Already got it there. Got it locked up.
All right. Good deal. Well, Jake, we've hit an hour here. I honestly didn't think that would happen this week. Thanks to everybody in the chat for throwing out those questions. That was great. Keep them coming. I would much rather answer your guys' questions every single week rather than anything that we're going to fucking talk about.
Then our
that we
made
got
up
planned.
questions for each other?
Exactly.
What? What?
No, honestly though, one of the things I am thankful for is our chat. It's been awesome the last few weeks here. Keep it coming. It helps the show a lot. It makes it a lot more interesting. Get your guys's and gals opinions and thoughts here in the chat. I truly do love it. Hopefully everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving here with the Thursday all day football and Sunday all day football. There are no teams on bye this week. The rare no buys in the middle of the season. So fire up your best starting lineups and good luck this week, folks. As always, go out, give us a review, subscribe to us on YouTube, hit us up at Drinking Fantasy on Twitter, hit up my co-host at Jake Trowbridge on Twitter. You can hit me up at FF Dusty Dog. While Twitter is still a thing, apparently, because we don't know where it's going to go after soon. But while we're all on there, you can hit us up there. Our DMs are always open to answer any of your fantasy football related questions or not. Or if you just want to chat, we're there too. We like it all.
We just like to hang.
That's right. That's right. Good luck, everyone. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Peace, love, and humptiness forever.
Cheers, FFers.